Hello and welcome to Taylor Talks Comics. I bought a bunch of comics off of Jim Rugg's website. I'm a big fan of Jim Rugg, so let's dive in and look at them. All right, so Jim Rugg is the cartoonist that does Street Angel. This is a collection that's coming out soon for Image Comics called Street Angel Princess of Poverty. It's collecting all the stuff that was originally in the Ad House Comics hardcover, if you haven't got it already. And then there's Street Angel Deadliest Girl Alive, which is another trade paperback that collects all the rest of the Street Angel stuff, previously released by Image Comics. Both those combined give you all the Street Angel stories. Just want to note that it's a great comic. It's a homeless ninja on a skateboard. Homeless teenage girl ninja on a skateboard is the elevator pitch for this comic book, and that's all you need to know. Like, how fun and great does that sound? And then Read More Comics, Thanks by Jim Rugg. I love that he has like the lines of the lettering in there, showing his great cartooning and lettering. Little nice touch. So Jim Rugg is one of my favorite cartoonists. I love the range that he has. With his art style, I love the design that he brings to each page and each collection of books. He has a great eye for graphic design and book design. He's won an Eisner for that, actually. He won an Eisner for book design for Little Nemo collection of, I think it was modern cartoonists doing Little Nemo strips. But he did the big collection of the giant book, bigger than what you can see on the screen. I don't have that book. It's out of print. I'd like to get that. But he's also done Hulk Grand Design was the most recent thing that he did. That was released in a nice Treasury edition. And Plain Janes was another series that he did. So he's done a lot of great stuff. And he is also one half of Cartoonist Kayfabe with Ed Piskor, who, and that channel alone was a great inspiration for my channel. I can't let that be unstated. So we got 5 things here. Jim Rugg, he does a few conventions a year now. I think it's kind of cutting back on the number of conventions he does. But one thing that he's been doing the last couple conventions is afterwards, all of the wares that he has left over, or he might actually print a little extra, he sells them on his website, which is great because I haven't traveled to a convention that he's been to yet. I hope to meet him one day. But I like that he does that, because a lot of cartoonists at these conventions will have exclusive things that you can only get when you're at the convention, little mini comics or art prints, that kind of thing. So I like that they offer, when cartoonists will offer these online for people that can't travel to those conventions or can't make it out there. And I think Jim, on a recent episode of Cartoonist Kayfabe, said he's going to do this maybe quarterly, which is great, because in addition to this, he'll print some older material that is out of print. And while we're talking about that, let's talk about one of those. So this first one is the Wrestling Zen. So Jim Rugg's real big into zines and mini comics. I'm trying to get the glare off of this if I can. I'm trying to adjust the lighting. That's where he kind of cut his teeth in the comic scene, the zine scene, if you will. So he's done a lot of these, and this is the Wrestling Zine. And I love the cover of this. So let's just open it up. Where he took all the title lettering of all these old wrestling magazines and put it all around here. This is near and dear to my heart, and one of the things that attracted me to Cartoonist Kayfabe when it first started. I've been watching that channel since the first episode where they covered Wizard Magazine #1. Was that it's Cartoonist Kayfabe. It's got a blend of pro wrestling in it. Ed Piskor and Jim Rugg are old pro wrestling fans themselves. And I myself am one too. I'm a little bit out of the wrestling scene the last few years. I haven't watched a ton. But my first 30 years of my life, I was addicted to pro wrestling. I watched it religiously. I even wrote for a website, voicesofwrestling.com, for 5 or 6 years writing about wrestling. I'm a little bit out of the scene now, but I still have a love and appreciation for the art form. So this is the Wrestling Zine. This is just a collection of different wrestling drawings of wrestlers that Jim Rugg has done over the years. Great table of contents. over here with all different lettering as well. Again, like Jim Rugg with his design and just the things that the appreciation and the heart and love and passion he pours into just the way the book looks is something that I appreciate. So we get a table of contents of each drawing here, all drawings by Jim Rugg. So we get Abdullah Butcher. I don't want to flip through every single one because I think I don't want to give away all the art. I don't know. A nice little what if WWE style. Ultimate Warrior. He does these notebook drawings too, which are great. He has a couple notebook collections, I think, which are way out of print, which I would love to get my hands on one of those because I love his ballpoint notebook drawings. So he grabs an actual notebook and with ballpoint pen draws every bit of this, which is ballpoint pen, which is just mind-blowing. He's done a few variant covers like this. I think he's done a couple for Marvel, and then he did one for Jeff Darrow's Shaolin Cowboy like that. Mega Powers 88, SummerSlam 88, such a classic poster there. What if Brett screwed Sean instead of Sean screwing Brett? Bailey, classic NXT. This is a GoBots cover that he did, inspired by a wrestling magazine that he did for Tom Sholey's GoBots series. I think. It doesn't say... Tom Sholey's name's not on there, but I wonder if that's what that is. This is from Super Mag, which is one of the best things that Jim Rugg's ever done. I should show that off on a future video. Andre the Giant. Is that the last one? Okay. So, great collection of drawings from Jim Rugg about wrestlers. I'm glad I got my hands on that, because that's something he released years ago that he brought back into print for this sale and this most recent year of cons. This is another one that was brought back into print for him. This is the BW Zen. I love this cover. Again, the design that Jim Rugg does. It like hurts your eyes looking at it, but that's the point. Like if this was on the racks at a comic book shop, this is going to draw your attention over everything else that is on the racks. And these are all magazine sized. These zines are. So this is the BW Zine. This is a collection of black and white art from the black and white boom of indie comics from the 80s. That's another passion of Jim Rugg's, is that period of comics. This is a great Ken Landgraf artwork here. So just a collection of different pages from comics from those, different ads of comics from that time period, and that, I don't know, stuck out to Jim and he wanted to put them in here. I do wish, going back, and I don't know if maybe Jim would change this himself, if he went back to this, but I would love a little annotation at the bottom of each page telling you where this came from, like the issue, the comic, the creator, artist, and even page number or something would be really cool. Because some of these I'm like, man, this is so cool. I want to hunt that comic book down, but I don't have any reference to it. So I think my best bet would be to post a page on the Cartoonist Kayfabe's Ringside Seats, the fan group of the channel on Facebook, and ask them. I think this is one I wanted in particular. This guy going berserker, destroying this cyborg. Like that artwork just looks amazing. I want to find out what comic that is. And I'm sure somebody can help me out on that group though. This is one I looked up though. Commandosaurs by Peter Laird is doing the story and art by Peter Laird and Stephen Bissett. Steve Bissett did the Tyrant series. It was like a 3-issue series about the lifespan of a dinosaur. And Peter Laird is one half of Eastman and Laird, the two that created the Ninja Turtles. And this, I was like, I love both those cartoonists. I love both their artwork, but also their eye for, the way they tell stories. But this, I can't find this anywhere. I don't think this actually came out. Let me know in the comments if this did, but I can't find any record of this actually existing. So I guess it was never completed. I don't know. But again, like an annotation like that would be cool to come up. This looks like Shaky Kane. Is that Shaky Kane? I don't know. It would be cool to say like this comic never came out. And like a little bit of editorial or little bit of writing involved in the zine would be cool. And there's a bunch of title lettering of all the different, not all the different, but a bunch of different black and white comics that came out in the 80s make up the in papers of the zine. So that's that one. The companion to that is what just came out this year. Jim Rugg's talked about this for a really long time. The 1986 zine. I want to open up that because, again, the design of this zine is just amazing. All the different fonts, lettering for saying 1986 a million different ways. I just love the design of this. And this came out this year. He's been talking about this for a long time on the channel, saying this is the best year of comics. This is when the direct market finally overtook the sales, or not finally, I shouldn't say that, but overtook the sales of the newsstand. So like comic books for the longest time came out in the newsstands of, you can see my cat here is making a cameo, was where you got your comics, but then the direct market comic book shops started growing in the late 70s, early 80s, and then finally 1986 is when the majority of sales for comics came out in from comic book shops and not from the newsstand. So the in papers here are different on the front and back, and they both just show a bunch of different covers from comics that came out in 1986. And it kind of blows my mind. I love this because I love comic book history, and I also love 1986. There's so many great things that happened. Obviously, Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns are the biggest things. Mouse would be the third biggest thing. But so many great things like Electra Assassin by Sienkiewicz and Miller's one of my favorite comics. Destroy by Scott McCloud. I have that book, and I need to show that off on my channel. The Ninja Turtles were really getting going. They started in 1984. Batman Year One, Part 1 came out. Manga was a huge book for getting manga into the States for one of the first times. Let's see what else was happening then. Watchmen, Megaton Man, New York City Outlaws by the aforementioned Ken Landgraf. Love and Rockets was still pumping out great stuff during that time. Miracle Man was being released by Eclipse Comics. American Splendor by Harvey Pekar. And then this is showing the scene when he went on the show for David Letterman. So a lot of great stuff came out in 1986. And it really took the world by storm, and I don't think comics has ever been the same since. For better or worse. I think for better. Love and Rockets right here. So this is just like, again, kind of like the black and white zine, or the BW Zen, showing different pages or ads for all the different comics coming out during that time. There are some interviews and stuff in here too, so there's a little bit more reading involved in this one, which is great. But this is awesome too that he juxtaposed these ads, Watchmen and Batman Year One, two all-time top 10 comic books ever, in my opinion. We get like these little advertisements too, which is great, but then you get some Scott McCloud writing a little bit of editorial about some independent comics, Small Press Watch. You get some letters in here about some of the comics coming out, which is great too. I love reading articles in the context of when they came out. So reading an article about Frank Miller talking about The Dark Knight Returns in 1986 is amazing, because today if you interviewed Frank Miller about Dark Knight Returns, he'd probably have a lot of different things to say about it, just because of the different years have gone by. People have viewed it differently and depicted it differently than in the moment when he was making it. So Usagi Yojimbo, Charles Burns makes an appearance in the zine. Rick Parker. So yeah, there's a lot of little articles and stuff too to read in this one. This is probably my favorite of the three zines I just showed you. But definitely try to get your hands on this if Jim ever puts it back on sale, which I think he will be. But this is definitely, I think, Jim's best work. Because there's, like, I love looking at the artwork and stuff too, but there's a little bit of context in these things. I do also love that some of this is like scanned in, but some of this is like also just pictures taken. So like a little bit of combination of that for how to publish your own comic magazine for the book design. So yeah, that's the 86 zine. The last two things I got, let's go over this one first. This is Rambo 3.5. This mini comic has been like the mini comic I've wanted to find the most. I don't know if I can find the book I have it in. No, I have it in a small book that came out. It was collecting all these mini comics, and that's the only way I've had it so far. Yeah, I don't know if I can find it easily. Regardless, it was in a mini comic collection. It's like a thick hardcover that came out. I don't think it was Fantagraphics. It might have been Fantagraphics, but this was in there. That was the main reason I bought the hardcover. But now I have the real thing, so I didn't think I'd ever get my hands on this because it had a small print run. I think he won not an Eisner, but maybe not a Ringo, Harvey Award. I don't know. I think he won a small press award. Jim Rugg's won some award for this mini comic. It's been very popular, but regardless, it's been a small print run. He's only... Sorry, that was my cat knocking something over. A small print run, only handing it out at conventions and whatnot. So this is Rambo 3.5. This is the continuation of Rambo 3. It takes place after that. And what was perfect about this when I first heard it was that I had a very... My interpretation of Rambo 3, watching it for the first time as a kid, was very similar to what this kind of deals with. So I remember watching the trilogy on DVD when it first came out with my dad, and it was right after 9/11 happened. So in Rambo 3, Rambo's fighting on the side of the Afghanistan army. And as how old was I at this point? I guess I was 13, 14 when 9/11 happened. And I was watching, I was like, wait a minute, Rambo's fighting for the Afghanistan army. Aren't they supposed to be like the enemy? And of course, years have gone by, interpretations are all different. It was the Al-Qaeda, not all Afghanistan people. I don't want to say that. But regardless, it was something similar I felt because I was confused by it when I was a kid. And this deals with Rambo 3.5 afterwards, teaming up with George Bush to fight the Afghanistan army. And that's what this mini comic is about. So... Again, I don't want to flip through the entire thing, but it's just amazing, like fun cartooning. That's what Jim Rugg, the best way I could describe Jim Rugg comics is just making fun comics. This is his latest comic. Like even after Hulk Grand Design, this has come out. This is True Crime Funnies, the first collector's item. So you can see the cover here is also done in like the style of a wrestling magazine. Even has a comic strip that continues on the back page here. Starts on the back cover inside and then on the back. Reminds me a lot of 8-Ball from Dan Klaus, which I know is Dan Klaus is a big inspiration for Jim Rugg, so I'm sure that's not a coincidence. I'm sure Jim's kind of homaging Dan Klaus in that regard. But this is True Crime Funnies. This is a story about true crime stories, and there's like 3 of them in here, I think. This actually is in the Wrestling Zen. This picture of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, covered in blood. But I love this too because Jim Rugg really started doing this trend too, which then Ed Piskor did and Tom Scioli, where he made the pages look aged. And the way he did that, like the white is the color of the paper, but then this is like colored on top to look aged, but it makes it look like it's done on old yellow newsprint paper. That was something that Jim Rugg did. Again, attention to detail, attention to design, and those sorts of things that he brings to the table. But not every comic in here is done in that style. And again, just showing the range of artwork that Jim Rugg brings to the table. Because the next story is done on white paper. Again, just not showing that aged color. The lettering too, with the panels within the lettering. I always love that. Always mark out when I see that. And just seeing this story here. Trying not to flip through everything. And you get a little advertisement there. And then again, this last story of Andy Warhol and Dusty Rhodes, the Dream Team, finishing out. So yeah, great Jim Rugg stuff. He's a cartoonist with so much range in ideas about what comics should be and the way books should be designed. Highly recommend Street Angel and Hulk Grand Design if you haven't read those already. This is coming out soon, so pick this up for the earliest Street Angel stories, but also pick up Street Angel Deadliest Girl Alive. That's a great comic book as well. And support Jim Rugg. He's got a Patreon as well. Subscribe to the Cartoonist Kayfabe channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching, but please subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up. And comment down below with your favorite Jim Rugg comics or stories. Thank you guys for watching.